All right, students, we are going to hop right into week six. Week six is a big week. This is kind of a transitional or pivotal week for a lot of you as you're going into the last kind of push here to get all your assignments done. And it's really going to be fun what we do with Stukin, because here you're figuring out your distribution channels and you're making some final adjustments. So we're going to go through all the different components of what's going on this week. So we'll start off with the weekly instructions. There's a module I want you to read. It's module 10. It's new product development, and there's a link in Blackboard. I'm going to share with you a PowerPoint. I'm going to go through it with you because you're going to create something similar with your own voice as well. And you're going to talk about how businesses will modify a product. From there, you're going to complete rounds 4 and 5 of the sim game, and you're going to do a review assignment of round 4. That'll be the last of the reviews that you'll do. So let's hop right into the next component of this, which is product modifications. Okay, so I have a lot of experience in the sports field. That's really my bread and butter is sports businesses, sports event businesses, sport marketing. And so a lot of my content you'll see is kind of, it involves different sports businesses out there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through this PowerPoint of how businesses will modify a product in order to kind of push through some stale sales. So what happens over time is a product maybe that is focusing on a business to business sales path. They'll hit a point where they've kind of sold to everybody they can sell to. And then sales become a little stagnant, and there's ways to kickstart those sales. They could modify the product. They could change, add subscriptions to it. They could change how it's used at the business. There could be a newer version of it come out. But one of the things that happens very often in the field of business sales is when a product is being sold from business to business, they run out of customers. So they say, hey, how can we get this in the hands of more people? Well, maybe we'll try to do it as a business to consumer sale instead. So at my business, I have a HitTrax baseball simulator. On the left here, you can see kind of the commercial version, and on the right, you can kind of see what a setup might look like if it was in someone's basement. And there are some differences to the products. The product had to be modified. I'll go over what it looked like on a business to business transaction. So that's what I purchased. I purchased this for about $20,000. It included everything I needed to create a business within my business. So we created HitTrax tournaments, and we do training with it, and it's really quite fun. The kids love to see, how their hit happens on a TV with animated characters. If they hit it up, we do home run derbies and all kinds of fun stuff. And so it's very good for academies and training. It's also very good for professional teams. And it's expensive, right? It took us a while to pay it off, but it's been a profit maker for us, so much so that we might consider another one or something similar to it. It features real-time data capture, so that's great for kids as you progress through the years, like how hard you hit the ball, launch angles, exit velocities, fun things like that. So it has advanced metrics. For the business-to-business use, I have unlimited users that can have access to it. They have all the fields that you can choose are Major League Baseball fields, and they also have college fields, college softball fields as well. And so the stadium access is really cool. It does support multi-users and team management. It allows us to have competitions with other facilities. We can do different national competitions that they have out there. It's a great tool. We have a high-end camera that we use to capture video. And it's definitely, HitTrax was developed for business to business sales, right? A couple of years ago, I'll go on in this a little bit. So we also, it requires a larger space and professional installation. So I had to work with an installer to put it together. I've had to do that a couple different times. And then we also had to have some training, for that. So that was very important. Okay, so 2 or 3 years ago, maybe a little longer than that, they just said, hey, we're going to create a home version of this for people that have the money, that they want to put this in their, in their garage, in their basement, in their barn, whatever. And there are millions of youth baseball and softball players in the country and across the world. And so rather than just focusing their attention on the business to business sales, which there's just not an infinite, but just a set amount of people there that can actually purchase it, they open it up to all the consumers as well. So this was a way for them to kind of expand their sales. And they had to modify the product to do that. So the target market then was individual players, families, the home users. The price dropped in half. The features were simplified. The interface was much more for casual use. They do have some of the similar gamified experiences, such as the Home Run Derby and the Simulate game. There's a mobile app that's available for that. They don't have as many features that we had, and you can't have as many users, which is kind of a big thing. It's a more compact setup, more of a plug and play installation. It's more for fun, but for that serious parent with some money, it can be a home use piece, right? Here's a little comparison on side by side. The target market for both. So the BTB, business to business, we're looking at training facilities, where the BTC is home users. Price is half. Again, the installation is different. There's advanced analytics with the B2B. And it's great for player development, where the BTC, the business to consumer, it's simplified, it's practice, it's entertainment. I have a couple people I know that have the home version, so this isn't just something that they did and it didn't sell either. I know 2 people that have the home version. There's probably a lot more in the area that I'm not even aware of. So this is just an example of how a product was modified to change because the business hit a kind of a threshold. They could only sell so many more. Then they're dealing with more service, of those products, or they have to modify it for that business to business, maybe with a newer version of it, which they do anyways. They've already been doing that just to keep the sales going. And then they quit supporting the old version. So I'm a little worried about that with mine. So they successfully transitioned from B2B to B2C. It offers more affordability for the people that can afford it, I guess. The B2B version remains a powerful tool. We still use it, and we will as long as it's still supported. The product modifications really offer that access to a broader market, a huge market. And this is happening. It's a great example of adaptive sports technology for consumers, but it's happening across the sports market and all kinds of markets. Like, for example, TrackMan in golf. You can get a home version of that. There's the Rapsodo. There's all these different versions of technology that started off being very popular at places where that technology was needed at a business, golf simulators and whatnot. Now there's home versions of all those sort of things. So it's a very common path to take to expand sales across many different markets and hit consumers you normally couldn't hit. Okay, so that's my little spiel on the product modifications. So you're going to have a similar assignment in which you need to do that presentation. It's all laid out right here. It's 30 points. If you follow the PAT, you'll see kind of how I break down break down the grading, and then I also have a rubric that'll help you out. If you have any questions on this, please let me know. All right, so then, our next thing is we're going to complete those rounds 4 and 5 of the simulator game. And this is where we're getting into distribution channels, and I'll touch base on that here in a little bit. And then you have a review of the sim game here. Okay, so there is a template here. You're going to go ahead and fill that out, and that's worth 20 points. And this is a review of the things that you learned in round 4. Okay. All right, so let's get into just a little bit on what round 4 is going to be all about. So round 4, you have a decision to make on how you're going to set up your distributors for your product. So go ahead and watch this video, and then understand the different tasks that you have here. It's important to read through all the different parts on the left-hand side here, the inbox, the notifications hub, all those different things, right? It's because this is going to give you some great information of what your expectations are, your goal. Like, for example, your goal here for this quarter is to make $174,000. So when you meet those goals, then obviously you get in the green on that arrow, so that you're performing at a very high level. As you're going through the simulator, you are really rounds 5, 6, and 7 are making any modifications to your previous decisions on your promotional plan, your price of the product, how you're going to spend, and all those sort of things to maximize your total sales. And you're guided through this in some different ways. So if you hit on the resources tab down here, let's go back and show you that once again. Right down here, this resources tab is really important. Again, you can go back to your customer profile. So if you didn't have the right profile, then you might not have matched your sales, right? You go through all the different survey questions, the features, the price, promotions. You can go back to your outside research and see what you used. And then you can look at your key research findings. And if you are struggling somewhere in the simulator, let me just put it this way. And I've run through the simulator a couple times now. If you're struggling with the simulator, go to the resources tab. This will answer almost all of your questions. Okay. I hope that helps you as you're moving along. I've seen some scores go up, and I've seen some scores go down. And if you go back into the very first rounds and you read through the inboxes and the scenarios, and you go to the resource tab, I think you're going to do just fine on this. But as you're going through all the rounds, it's important that you make some modifications as necessary. If you have any questions along the way, please ask. You've done a good job of that so far, and I hope you continue to do so. And I hope you have a wonderful week, and let me know if you have any questions.